Welcome to Tools for Teens, where the smart get smarter. Today we look at some key features in ChatGPT. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Tools for Teens. Today we are exploring ChatGPT, and a lot has changed, and I'm sure a lot will change. So I'll probably have to update this lesson frequently. The first thing I want to show you in ChatGPT is the custom instructions. So if you click on your profile picture, you'll see an option that says Customize ChatGPT. And here you can tell ChatGPT more about yourself and also guide it to respond in a way that you prefer. So I told it that my name is Tian. I'm the director of an e-learning company. And at this stage, the only instruction that I have inside this box is that when I create an image, I want it to give me the Gen ID that I will show you in a minute. So now I'm going to add to these instructions. Let me show you a prompt that I just created. I actually created this prompt with meta prompting, and this is related to our language learning lesson. And it goes something like this. Every time I say, Bonjour, prof de français, I want ChatGPT to go into French teacher mode and respond accordingly. So it's going to communicate only in French. It's going to speak slowly. It's going to encourage active engagement and use natural and idiomatic French expressions. After I say Bonjour, prof de français, ChatGPT will then reply with Souhaites-vous pratiquer le vocabulaire et la grammaire ou une conversation aujourd'hui? So basically, it's asking me, would you like to practice vocabulary or grammar, or would you like to have a conversation? And something interesting that I'm adding to the instructions is that every time I say log for revision, insert French word, it's going to remember that word. And at the end of the conversation, I can say compile list, which means it's going to extract the respective words and put them into a bullet point list. That means I have the vocabulary and the phrases on a list that I can revise later. Okay, so let's put this into the custom instructions. I'm just going to select this part, copy that, and paste it in here. And now I have a problem because unfortunately the custom instructions does not allow for so many words or characters. So the only thing I can do now is shorten the prompt. Perfect. So it's not the complete prompt, but I think it's enough to give ChatGPT the direction that I need when I want to learn French. Let's test this out. Bonjour, prof de français.
Bonjour, souhaitez-vous pratiquer le vocabulaire et la grammaire ou une conversation aujourd'hui?
Une conversation, s'il te plaît.
Très bien. Quel sujet de conversation aimeriez-vous aborder aujourd'hui?
I think perhaps you can tell me a short story very slowly and then maybe quiz me on the story. Is that okay?
Bien sûr. Voici une courte histoire. Il était une fois un petit chat nommé Minou. Minou adorait jouer dans le jardin. Un jour, il trouva un bel arbre et décida de grimper.
Parfait. Can you now make a little quiz to see if I understood the story?
Bien sûr. Voici quelques questions. Comment s'appelle le petit chat? Où Minou a-t-il décidé de grimper? 3. Qu'a-t-il découvert en haut de l'arbre? À vous de répondre.
Wazoo? What does wazoo mean?
Oiseau signifie birds en anglais.
Log for revision, wazoo. Also log for revision, arc. And chat?
C'est ajouté à la liste de révision. Here's your compiled vocabulary list. Oiseau, arbre, chat. Let me know if you'd like to add more.
Thank you, ChatGPT.
You're welcome. If you need more help, feel free to ask anytime.
Okay, so that is a great example of how you could turn ChatGPT into your personal tutor by editing the custom instructions. And that brings me to the next feature of ChatGPT. Because if you look at the conversation, you now have a perfect transcript that you can use in various ways. One way is to now ask ChatGPT to compile this list and put it into a downloadable Excel sheet. Let me show you how this works. So my prompt is, please create a downloadable Excel sheet with this vocabulary list. Perfect. Now I can just click on this link and download the Excel sheet. And if I open this file, we will see that it neatly organized the French on the left and the English on the right. And here is where it gets really exciting because recently ChatGPT added projects to this platform. So now I can create a new conversation, and I'm just going to give ChatGPT a little bit of context. And what I said was, below you will find Excel sheets containing lists of vocabulary and phrases in French that I would like to revise later. So now I go to this upload function and I say upload from computer, and I choose the list that ChatGPT compiled from. Perfect. ChatGPT understands exactly what I want. Now I can just keep adding Excel sheets to this chat. And at the end of the week, I can perhaps let ChatGPT build a quiz for me or have a conversation based on these words or phrases. Now, the last step is to add this conversation to projects. And that's where the power lies. It says options. If I click there, I can now add this to a project that I created. It's my French project, so I add that to my French project. And now you can see that inside my French project, I have this revision chat that doesn't get lost, that I can access at any time. And ChatGPT within my French project understands a lot more context to help me better my language skills. Okay, the next feature is a very easy one, and it's something that I wish I learned much earlier. What you will see in ChatGPT is that you can actually choose the model that you would like to work with. And at the very bottom, you have the option to choose temporary chat. If I switch this on, it goes into temporary chat mode, which is amazing because sometimes I just like to quickly ask ChatGPT about random facts that I do not necessarily want to go back to at a later stage. So at the end of this chat, basically gets wiped from the memory, and I don't have to go and physically delete the conversation to keep the thread clean. So let's look at all of the models that ChatGPT offers at the moment. We have the 4.0 and 4.0 with tasks that we'll get back to in a second. 01 and 03 mini that recently launched. At the end of the day, it's all merging to one AI that basically gives you everything that you need in one package. So I wouldn't spend too much time going through the nitty-gritty of what makes every model different, because like I said, in the near future, you'll just have one thing that does it all. The only thing you should take into account is that the 01 and 03 mini is more expensive in terms of token cost, and you have quite limited usage. So if you're just going to ask a random question, I don't think it's a good idea to use 01 or 03. Rather leave that for more coding and logic type tasks. And speaking of tasks, this is very cool because they just added 4.0 with this scheduled tasks feature. So if I click there, what I can actually now do is in this conversation, I can ask ChatGPT to remind me to, I don't know, practice French, for example. So I can just say, please remind me to practice French every day at 11 o'clock. And I'm just going to send that message off. And that's it. Got it. I'll remind you every day at 11 o'clock. You will now get a notification via email. And I think it's a great way for you to just stay on top of things. I can't wait for you to show me how you use tasks to be more efficient and productive in your work. The next very cool thing about ChatGPT is that you can actually create images in ChatGPT itself. So if I click these three dots, I can choose the image option, and ChatGPT now knows whatever I ask for, it's going to put into an image. So let's say something like a cute yellow balloon with blue eyes and rosy cheeks, 3D Pixar style, very cute, detailed, solid white background, and see what ChatGPT does with that. Okay, and as you can see, this is Bobo, our curious balloon. That looks pretty good to me. I'm not sure why ChatGPT neglected to add the Gen ID that I asked for in the custom instructions. So what you can see is this is not perfect. You'll have to still do a little back and forth to make sure that you get what you want out of the model. Right now, though, I'm going to ask it for the Gen ID. So give me the Gen ID of this picture. Okay, and now I have the Gen ID of this picture. I'm going to show you a little trick if you want more consistency with your pictures and characters. So now I copy the Gen ID and I'm going to add the following prompt. Please use the Gen ID, and then I insert that Gen ID and the prompt below to create a similar picture. So what prompt am I going to use? I'm actually going to click on this picture, and here you can see I have the option to see the prompt that ChatGPT used to create this image. I'm going to copy this prompt and I'm going to paste it in here. And now I'm just going to change one or two things to see if I can get a consistent character in a different setting. And the thing that I changed was in the background is a big oak tree. Let's see what ChatGPT does with this. And that's great. So now you can see I have pretty much the same image, but with a different background. So it doesn't always work, but I think it's a nice hack if you want to try and maintain a specific style or character within ChatGPT. Another interesting feature that they've added recently was in painting. So if I go to this option here, I can say select, and now I can brush over the area that I want to change in the picture. So I'm going to see if I can change the eye color from blue to purple. So I've masked the eyes, and now I'm going to prompt purple eyes. Let's see what ChatGPT does with that. Okay, so it's not exactly what I had in mind. I think the masking that I did was a bit too big, so ChatGPT ended up changing the size and style of the eyes. But you get the idea. I think the inpainting function is very cool and very useful. Okay, so let's move on to the next feature, which is very powerful. This is where you can create your own GPT. Let me show you how this works. If you scroll down here on the left, you will see a button that says Explore GPTs. I'm going to click there. And now I can either search for a GPT that has already been created, or I can create my own GPT. So I'm going to do that. Now, the easiest way to do this is to choose the create option. And this is where ChatGPT sort of does the heavy lifting for you. So here I can vaguely describe what I want. For example, I want a book summarizer. Let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. Okay, so now it's asking me a question. Let's choose a name for this book summarizer. How about book brief? I'm going to say that's fine. And ChatGPT actually created a little profile pic, which looks great. So I'm going to say perfect. And that's it. So ChatGPT has actually configured the book summarizer for me, and it put together conversation starters here that I can try out. So I'm just going to say, what are the key themes of 1984? And this is pretty cool because now in bullet point format, I can quickly get an idea of what 1984 is all about. So this is not exactly what I made by book summarizer. Let me show you a GPT that I built. I call this GPT the book chapter summarizer, and the link to this GPT is included in the resource section. So you can use this whenever you want. So to show you what's going on behind the scenes, I'm going to go to the edit GPT option. And now instead of create, I'm choosing the configure option. And now you can see the prompt that I used to build this GPT. So if I copy this and I paste this into a notepad, you can see the prompt that makes everything work. So you are an expert at summarizing and extracting key insights from book chapters. I need you to create an elaborate bullet point summary of a chapter from a book. And then I bulked out the prompt a little bit further, and I added a rule to respond with ready when the user prompts with summarize this transcript. So let me show you how this works. One of the books that we cover in the Tools for Teens course is Animal Farm by George Orwell, the classic. So I could just upload the whole book, but the idea is to do it chapter by chapter to get a good grasp of what the text is about. So to do this, I'm going to zoom out, and now I'm going to highlight the text of chapter 1. Okay, and now I'm going to right click and copy. So I'll just copy that text. And a little hack that I want to teach you is to first paste this into Notepad, especially when it's large bodies of text. So I'll just paste that in. And now I'm going to save this as chapter 1 Animal Farm. I then just go back to my GPT and I click on this button. And it tells me that it's ready. So I just go to this plus sign, click there, upload from computer, and I upload the text file that I just saved. So it will send that off, and let's see what ChatGPT does with this. Okay, so this is pretty amazing because now I have in bullet point format, in chronological order, all the key elements of this chapter, and I can very quickly get an idea of what this text is about. Please remember our lesson on the zone of proximal development. This GPT is not meant to do the readings for you, and I trust that you will use it wisely. And the last feature I want to talk about is Sora. So at the top here, you will see an option that says Sora. If you click there, it takes you to the Sora website. Here you can see that I've experimented a little bit. This first one was actually text to video. And I have to say, it's not exactly what I expected, but in terms of the reflection and the physics behind it, it's getting better and better. This was image to video, so I just uploaded an image of Bobo and it gave me 2 options. And again, it's not the best video generation that I've seen, but at least we have this tool at our disposal. So before this lesson gets way too long, I'm going to add a link to a Sora tutorial that you can watch if you want to explore this tool further. So I hope this was useful, and I hope you understand what is possible within ChatGPT. I can't wait to see what you produce. I will see you in the next one. Stay adaptable.